When you deposit $100, the bank keeps just $10 in reserve and loans out the remaining $90 at interest. That $90 gets deposited into another bank, which keeps $9 and loans out $81 at interest. This cycle repeats and is called fractional reserve banking, a system that legally allows banks to lend or invest 90% of your deposits, effectively circulating new money into the economy. Wealthy investors and big corporations are the first to get access to big loans at low interest rates. With this loan, they buy real estate, stocks, and businesses before the money circulates through the broader economy. By the time those funds trickle down to the working class, they have already triggered inflation. The result? The banks collect interest by loaning out money that didn't belong to them. The rich use borrowed capital from the bank to acquire assets that skyrocket in value, easily covering their low-interest loans. And the working class are required to pay higher prices for rent and food, because the money supply has expanded, while the number of actual goods are the same. And that's how the rich keep getting rich, and the poor become more poor.
Jeff Sika is with us now. Jeff, you're big in real estate. What do you make of these numbers, first of all?
Well, David, I think they're terrible. First off, I think we're in the seasonally strong time for selling
coming
homes,
into it, yeah.
But now this is proving that to the first-time home buyer, this is still a blood-soaked hellscape for them. There's not a lot of inventory, that prices are extremely high, and interest rates are too high. And then you have all the people who are in lower interest rate homes that would want to either trade up, trade down. They're frozen out because rates are so high, and they'd have to take their low interest rate to get a higher interest rate. So the point I'm trying to make is that nothing has changed. This $4 million homes number, because of what we've been through, does not show we've made any improvement in affordability, and there's nothing more important than affordability.
Got to increase that inventory. You mentioned energy prices. How do you think the spike in energy prices is going to affect travel this summer, which is so important, critical?
Well, David, I look at travel as being, that to me is the gauge of travel, and leisure are the gauge of how the consumer is doing. Because think about it. If you have all your necessities covered, you're going to travel and you're going to spend money on leisure. Now, if you look at travel and leisure, it's been relatively strong because we've had a lot of rebound from the pandemic. Now what we're beginning to see is oil prices not only affect fuel, but they also affect hotel prices. The hotel rates go up. You have food.
But the question is how far these prices will go. So far, we're getting CPI numbers out this week. I believe it's tomorrow. How far will it go? Will these oil prices go and bleeding into the rest of the economy? Obviously, travel is big on it, but will we see it affect the core inflation rate? It
is, because now
hasn't been so far.
Not so far, but there's this lagging element of oil prices, because the longer oil prices stay elevated, you're going to see basic material prices start to elevate. I'm seeing it in my own business when we're involved with construction of any kind. You're seeing lumber, concrete, you're seeing a lot of steel, a lot of those prices are beginning to move up, some faster than others. And the longer this takes, the longer it takes for oil to come down, the more those basic material prices are going to stay high.
Jeff Sika, good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Another episode of Scriptures in Wall Street. I hope you are doing well. Excited to be here today. This weekend, I'm traveling to Boston for another hockey tournament for my son. If you guys could keep us in your prayers, hopefully he can actually win one. He did good last tournament in Boca Raton. They played very well, but it wasn't good enough to go to the championship. It was one of those, everybody, like the top three had the same record. And what happened was they made third because although they had more goals, they allowed one more goal than the second place guy. So they weren't able to make it to the championship. However, I'm very proud of him. It was his first AA tournament. And so we're going to another AA, AAA tournament this weekend in Boston. So if you're watching this, I will be in Boston, but I will be recording SPF as well as my own weekend show, which I'm excited to do. Have a lot of content I want to talk about. But this week, I just wanted to focus on some of the calls that we've been receiving. And if you've known me for a while, that I like talking about the phone calls that I've had this week. You guys give me a lot of content. You give me a lot to discuss because I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what your concerns are and where your mindset is at. And really, that's really the premises of where you're at in life. Like if you are depressed or you're constantly thinking, man, I don't have enough for retirement. I don't know how this is going to work out. I have issues in my marriage. I have issues at job. I have issues with my kids. And then I don't even save enough. Like, man, that's a bad spot to be in. And I want to remind you that all things, not some things, but all things work for the greater good for those who love Christ Jesus. So if that's you, do not fret, do not worry, because Matthew 6 says, if he can provide for the lilies in the field, if he can provide for the birds in the air, how much more are you worth to him? So cast all your fears, cast all your concerns on that cross. Now, I'm not here to, sugarcoat anything, but you do need a higher counsel in these days because the wise are doing it. And when it comes to your money, how more true could that be? Is having somebody by your side walking you through all the manipulations, all the navigations of your retirement, of the markets, of the CBDCs, of the Clarity Act, of the Secure Act, of all of the disclosures from these disgusting gold IRA providers that are scamming people out of their money. Literally, I've gotten over 4 calls of people with $500,000 or more in precious metals IRAs. And they're like, hey, Carlos, I got 5 million. I got 500,000. I have 700,000. I have 800,000. I said, man, that is awesome. I know gold went up over 185% in precious metals. It's red money. We know that. But what is your melt value? My what? Yeah. What is your melt value? I see your account value. You see your account value on the statement. And when you log online, you see a nice big number. But what is your melt value? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. What is your melt value? And a lot of that is baked in, especially if you did the whole, hey, I'm getting $10,000 worth of free silver. Well, that doesn't mean jack shizzle. If they oversold you, they overspotted, they overcharged you, completely fabricated the spot price and added a massive premium of upwards of 33%, some as high as 200% because it was a collectible. So if silver is worth $60, they would have charged you $90 roughly. So you put $100,000 in, let's just say, and 60,000 shows. Hey, what happened to my, 77,000 shows? What the heck happened to my 33,000? I put 100 in. Well, that was a bunch of fees and disclosures. Oh, and by the way, we don't take any responsibility at all because you signed the disclosures and we are to not act in your best interest. We have no fiduciary responsibility. That is almost criminal, guys. So I want to make sure that you guys understand as silver starts to come back to 90, possibly over 100, we may see a run up to 150 to 200. Please take some freaking profits this time. Take some profits because what's going to happen, guys, once the government sees and once these people see that silver is on a run again, and yes, there is no supply, there is a massive shock that is going to happen with the USA and their craze and their hard on for AI, the track, trace, and control agenda. We also know that is prominent. That is going to happen. Yes, even conservatives are going to get suckered into it. My wife was saying, we know about this stuff, but we still do it. We still have Facebook Messenger on our phone. We still have ChatGPT. We're all driving EVs now. Now they got them in trucks. They can track, trace, and control us. They have these data centers, and every freaking conversation we have on our phone is now being recorded. There is no privacy. They're track, tracing, and controlling us. Every time we give blood, it is also reverse engineered on how to kill us all. They have AI'd our blood work. They have AI'd pretty much everything. And she's not freaking out. She's telling the truth. So what that means is, how far deep does this go? How far deep does it really, really go? Are we going to stop here and just kick up our feet and say, hey, the robot's going to take over Elon Musk style and accept the Andrew Yang proposal? The Andrew Yang proposal, if you guys remember in 2021, I believe, he wanted universal basic income. And so universal basic income has to come with a credit score system, because if you act up, if you're not in line, what happens when you're not in line? Well, you don't get paid that month, or you don't get paid that quarter. Just like the banks can control your deposits. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but the disclosure I have been reading on the banks that people are just willingly signing is insanity. Do you want to see it? Well, let me show you, just for poops and giggles. I haven't done this in a while, and I'm kind of going off cuff here, but I know there's a lot of audio listeners, and I'm cool with that. And you're just going to have to trust me on this, because I'm not much of an audio. This podcast, I like to show visuals. But at the same time, if you're watching this, I want you to see what I'm seeing. So I got to cater to both of you guys. So give me a second here. So I want to show you something with Chase. This is a privacy and account notice agreement. So when you open up a FDIC account with Chase, and I'm just using this because they're gracious enough to provide their PDF as if I was opening an account, and I want to kind of just show you this and formulate my own opinion. Of course, everything on this podcast is meant for information, education purposes only. It is up to you to make your own financial decisions. And if you would like investment advice, give us a call, 813-448-3446. Also, you can email me at info@cortezwm.com. You can also click on cortezwm.com to book an appointment to speak with me directly and see if your information or your concerns are taken care of. I mean, what is the answer if the market goes down? What is the answer if the dollar goes down? What is the answer if the dollar pumps up and your silver goes down? What is the answer about the taxation you're going to have heavily with your massive IRA? How long is that money going to last you? What are you going to do for that money to last? And more importantly, how much are you going to be paying in taxes? These are questions that you should be asking yourself as you face years closer to retirement. So let me just kind of scroll through this real quick, just so you understand. And no one has showed me this. This is something that I felt in my spirit I needed to do. And you guys need to be educated. So this is a normal account with Chase, normal checking account. And we have obviously our table of contents here. Now, I'm not going to bore you to death on this, but I'm going to quickly scroll down, and we're going to go to where it says, I believe it was closing account. And it talks about, non-sufficient funds, ATM machines, electronic platforms, our right to refuse transaction. So this is one of the craziest things starting out. This is warming you up. Where was that? Right to refuse transactions. And this is actual terms that are being used, by the way. We can refuse to authorize any transaction when your card has been reported lost or stolen. Hey, that's reasonable. Or if there may be fraudulent, suspicious, or illegal activity. If you lock your card, we will stop authorizing everyday debit card transactions as well as ATM. Locking your card will not impact recurring debt card transactions. We may still authorize everyday transactions and ATM deposit. All right, that's not terrible. If you currently have money in the bank, a 401k, or even precious metals in an IRA, you may want to listen up. You're going to want to have a place where you have a guarantee on your funds. As we go into a lower interest rate environment, banks will be stressed out when the commercial real estate crisis happens. Right now, you can get a guarantee, yes, a guarantee on your principal, and get a bonus. If you're younger than 65 years of age, we can utilize an insurance-based contract that has been around for over 100 years. We want to help you find a guarantee on your funds that are actually outside of banking laws, outside of securities laws. And guess what? You get a guarantee on your funds. You get a guarantee on your principal. Go to greenmoneysolutions.com, fill out your information, and let's just see if you qualify. All right, so Section 6 starts the true language. If we do not, our liability for failure to complete a transaction, if the bank does not complete a transaction from your personal account on time or in the correct account, we will be liable for your losses or damages. However, we are not liable for any failed transaction if you don't have enough money in your bank in your balance to cover transactions, if the ATM machine does not have cash or is not working properly, if circumstances beyond our control prevent transaction, if the merchant requests authorization for any amount greater than the purchase amount, or if there are any other exceptions stated in this agreement provided by law, we're not liable for failure to complete a transaction on a business account if we send you notice the transaction was not completed. So this is where they start talking about how they're just not going to fulfill transactions, even if you do or don't have money. Now, here's where it gets really, really triggering. All right, so we got third parties. There's a section in here, I think it was on page, oh, I'm not even there yet. You guys are not going to believe this. Okay, here's another section that is pretty powerful. Either you or we may close your account if at any time, any reason, or no reason prior notice. We are not required to close your account at your request. If you have pending transaction, the account is overdrawn, your account is subject to legal process, blah, blah, blah. We may send you a notice that we have closed your account and return a balance less any fees, claims, set-offs, or any other amounts if the balance is greater than $1. After your account is closed, we have no obligation to accept deposits or pay outstanding debts or checks. But we may reopen your account if we receive a deposit. We will have no liability for refusing to honor any check withdrawn or closed at the account. We may advise consumer reporting agencies for such overdrafts. The agreement continues to apply to your account and issues related to the account even after it closes. Other legal stuff, other legal terms. This agreement, all accounts, services provided to you, and any dispute relating to any of these accounts or services governed by federal law will not supersede the federal law where your account is located. Here's how we determine where your account is located. If you apply for the account in person in banking, we get that. If you applied for an account directly with one of our representatives, if you applied for the account by mail, digitally, or through remote means, in all other cases, your account will be governed by Ohio law. So the other thing I wanted to show is that general liability, is that any provision in this agreement limits the bank does not negate the bank's duty under applicable law and as to act in good faith and reasonable care if any provision of the agreement is determined to limit the bank's liability in a way prohibited by applicable law. The provision will nevertheless be enforced to the fullest extent permitted under that law. We will not be liable for anything we do following your instructions. In addition, we will not be liable if we do not follow your instructions. If we reasonably believe that your instructions would expose the potential loss of civil or criminal liability or conflict of customary banking practices, we will not be liable for indirect, special, or consequential damages regardless of the form of action. Even it hasn't been advised the possibility of such damages. If we fail to stop payment on an item or pay an item bearing an unauthorized signature, for signatures, or forged signature, our liability, if any, will be limited to the face amount of the item. So they relinquish liability for fraudulent transactions. So if your identity is theft, they don't care. There are many reasons. So this is another crazy thing. There are many reasons why we may decline or prevent transactions to and from your account, otherwise restrict your account, but we generally do it to protect you and to comply with legal requirements of the legal process. You acknowledge and agree that we may decline or prevent any transactions from your account, including refusing, freezing, reversing, delaying, or returning any specific withdrawal, payment, or transfer of funds to or from your account, or removing funds from your account to hold them from pending investigation, including one or more following circumstances. Your account is involved in legal administration proceeding, you're receiving conflicting information on instructions regarding ownership. We suspect that you're a victim of fraud. We suspect any transaction involve irregular, unauthorized, illegal activity, or maybe fraudulent. We are complying in sole discretion of federal, state, and local laws. We reasonably believe that doing so is necessary to avoid a loss, to reduce risk to us. We also may limit cash deposits to withdrawals from your account of all accounts collectively in a single transaction or total withdrawals or deposits during any period of time. In addition to above, we may refuse to put any money or transfer or dispute from your accounts in event of a death or death co-account holder until we are fully satisfied in our sole judgment. Furthermore, it talks about they can make changes at any time. They're relinquishing their responsibility of any damages that may occur with their delay. So they could say they could delay, they can change the agreement anytime. They could do whatever they want with your money. So technically, you do not own the money in your bank. So you trust Chase and Wells Fargo and PNC and all these banks with your money, but you say you don't, but you still have money there. Guys, it's time to wake up. It is time to be an account owner. I don't know how much more we have to discuss this, but this is all a trap. It's all a trap to get you to be financially inoculated, to get you to be Hanta, COVID, and whatever, flu vaccinated, to be dumb, silly, own nothing, and be happy. They've already track, trace, and control us into oblivion. Now they're putting data centers. They're pushing data centers because they're going to need these buildings in rural areas, sucking up all the water. Here in Florida, we're in a massive drought, 27, 28-year-long drought. I'm sorry, not year-long, but the worst it's ever been in 27, 28 years. And adding a data center down here is only going to make it worse. 50,000 gallons a day just to run one? I think I'm off, actually. But yeah, that's what the number I heard. So what? So Netflix can come to our home a little faster? So we can use Twitter and Facebook? It's literally because the streaming and the AI and all the data is now the priority. It is not the financial American system. It is not your pocketbook. It is not inflation. It is not your financial well-being. It is the well-being of the administration and keeping their power first at your expense. Guys, what I'm telling you is all this money that we've been sending over and the national debt that is just disgustingly climbing ad nauseum. There's only two ways we're getting out of this. It's through the taxation of your qualified accounts and manipulating the currency. And as they pump up the dollar again, and silver gets pumped up because the dollar is going down, just know that silver pumps up and it will come right back down. Eventually, what I love about silver is that you can't really hide it. you can't suppress this forever, because the true cost of it will eventually come out. And yeah, I still believe it'll go to 250, 300. I don't just say that, I believe that, only because of scarcity. You know, India's buying up silver like crazy. China too is buying up silver like crazy. So is the US. It's insane how much the US is buying, literally, domestically speaking. So number one is the sulfuric acid shock. Iranian conflict, Chinese restrictions equals global acid shortage, crippling base metal mining. So you need acid to to pull the metals out of the mountains. Number two, the byproduct trap. 75% of the world is a byproduct of copper, lead, and zinc, which is now collapsing. China is hoarding it, 78%, record 173% above average imports by retail and solar manufacturers. Month over month, they have been ordering over 836 tons of silver. The U.S. vulnerability situation, where we have imports 64 to 80% of silver needs for military, the grid, as well as AI output. Time is running out there in the inelastic supply response. So we simply just can't ramp up quickly. Capital floods silver's sector, causing massive gains. So when there's a supply issue and demand, obviously everything runs off supply and demand. But I want you to understand, guys, as promising silver may feel, is it really worth your retirement? Is it worth putting 80, 90% of your money in silver? You buy precious metals for one thing only, for security. You don't buy it to hedge. You shouldn't buy it for long-term growth. Many of you are 60 years old and you're putting your whole IRAs into a bucket of money that has no downside protection. The same way the dollar goes down is the same way it can come right back up. And this is how they are going to take your precious metals. All they got to do is pump up the dollar. When they lower interest rates and the stock market's going up, the dollar will eventually go up too. And all those people that were buying into precious metals thinking they're going to make a ton of money because it went up 200% last year are the same ones that are going to get hurt. And then they buy it from these big names that are charging 20, 30, 40% to buy and 20, 30, 40% to get out. It's disgusting. So all the returns you've made have been washed away by the sales commission by your gold or silver broker. Don't fall into that trap, guys. And don't fall into the banking trap. That's why I'm exposing this right now. You literally do not own the money in your bank account. They have so much restrictions. I even see certain account agreements where they have behavioral clauses. I believe it was Truist. I did this like a year ago, and Truist had behavior clauses. Like if they think you're a domestic terrorist, if they call you an anti-Semite, if they think you're just a racist or you said the wrong word. It sounded like a social credit score developing words, conditioning the futurization of social credit score system correlating with the banks. We've seen the FDA partner with the banking cabal. So if you buy a medical device that is not FDA approved, the bank could and will reject it. And they don't even have to tell you why. Because you legally do not own your money there. So guys, what I'm telling you is, please, for the love of God, get your emotions in check. We know you're conservative. We think the dollar is going to go down, especially when they start printing the heck out of money. By the way, $5 billion, $25 billion, at 5%, our treasuries have been sold. U.S. has sold these bonds on a 30-year treasuries. So we're selling our bonds. They do this because the interest is so high that even the own government wants to get rid of its own bonds. So what does this do? Well, the yield is going to go down. We get that. But what it does, it just brings more volatility. It brings more chaos. And what I'm confident about is that the more chaos there is, the more money we make, because we have green money solutions. Green money solutions have accounts already designed for volatility. We have accounts that go up when the market is not doing favorable. We have accounts that guarantee your principal. What's unfortunate is that we've gotten a ton of calls from people that bank with Edward Jones, and they don't believe in green money. They don't have access to principal protected accounts. They don't allow their advisors to give them an account that has guarantees that's linked with the index. It's still red money in their eyes, and they're not the only company. There are other companies out there that do this nonsense. Just ask your advisor, where can I put my money that's guaranteed, that's not FDIC, that doesn't have a boatload of fees, that doesn't have any market risk, that's actually fixed? And see what they say. They probably recommend a CD. Go ahead and ask them, what part of my portfolio is guaranteed, protected, locked in, insured? Go ahead and ask them. I think that's a fair question. Maybe they're vaccinated. Maybe they don't even think that way. I don't know. Maybe something went up their brain and they went, I have no idea. But I think every retiree, every person needs to have an account that has a guarantee. But why is it that Wall Street does not offer this? Why is it that red money advisors only promote stocks and bonds and mutual funds and REITs and things that are basically have unlimited losses, unlimited gains? There's still risk. Even grandma lost her money when interest rates skyrocketed in 2022 to 2023. Yes, your treasuries went down in value. Your corporate AAA bonds went down in value because it's red money. And the word of God says, my people suffer from a lack of what? A lack of knowledge. So if we're just trusting someone that we don't agree spiritually with, that we're not alignment with them politically or spiritually, what in the heck are they doing managing your retirement? Because you're going to be vested in the things that you don't want to be vested in. The Modernas, the Pfizers, the LGBT-friendly companies, the Chinese companies, the Israel-based companies, the Taiwanese-based companies. They're not America First companies. We want to do business with America First companies. We want to do business with companies that don't write this freaking jargon of we own your assets, we own everything, and we have the right to refuse business. We have the right to refuse your transactions. Guys, this is what I'm talking about, is that we blindly go in and we don't even question anything. We just blindly go in because everybody does it. Don't be that guy. When this crap hits the fan, the first place they're going to go to is your checking account. That's the first thinking place that gets frozen. But yet here we are. Like, someday I'll reach out and protect my money. It's in the bank. It's earning 3% interest. I don't care if it's 7% interest. You don't own the money, guys. You don't own the money. I know I go off in a different tangent, but man, there's so many solutions I want to talk about this. For people that are just sitting in the banks, be extremely careful as this private credit crisis comes down tenfold. You're going to see banks doing funny things. They're going to do really funny things like slowing down these transactions. They're going to limit your withdrawals. They have a lot of exposure to private credit through real estate. And right now, the government has no answer for this. There is no bank bailouts because bank bailouts were only for banks. Private credit is non-banks that were issuing credit, lending And they weren't even they weren't even a banking institution, a depository institution. They were just a financial company that wanted to service merchants or private equity and send out private equity. Get a group of investors, and the private equity brokers, the investment bankers will find the deals for them. Capital ventures. These are the things I'm talking about, guys. If you currently have money in the bank, a 401k, or even precious metals in an IRA, you may want to listen up. You're going to want to have a place where you have a guarantee on your funds. As we go into a lower interest rate environment, banks will be stressed out when the commercial real estate crisis happens. Right now, you can get a guarantee, yes, a guarantee on your principal, and get a bonus. If you're younger than 65 years of age, we can utilize an insurance-based contract that has been around for over 100 years. We want to help you find a guarantee on your funds that are actually outside of banking laws, outside of securities laws. And guess what? You get a guarantee on your funds. You get a guarantee on your principal. Go to greenmoneysolutions.com, fill out your information, and let's just see if you qualify. Let's understand that green money is very powerful. If you want insurance on your money, then give me a call. I'm here to help. But here's what you need to know. I don't care how much you have in precious metals. You can have $1 million, 200,000, 300,000. Don't invest all it in precious metals. Don't be that silly and naive, because now you're going into one of the worst situations ever, where silver, yes, could go up, but it also could come down. And the problem is that if it does come down in your retirement age, you don't have the years to make it back. And I'm pro silver, guys. I'm pro silver. I still have all this silver on my desk. It's not a lot to many, but to me it is. And I even added some bars from Cornerstone. These are cool. Look how thick these suckers are. They're little stubs. I call them midget bars, but they're just 10 ounces. They're beautiful, though. They're heavy as heck. Fully beautiful. I'm a big fan of silver. I like silver. I think it's beautiful. I like the white precious metal. I mean, it's beautiful. I just love seeing it. So I keep it on my desk. I didn't sell it. I mean, I have thousands of ounces personally, but it's good to look at the charts and take 15, 25% out when it hits a new high. I told you silver is going to get to 90. No problem. I said that a month ago, and look where we're at. We're at 89 right now. But if it gets to over 100, guys, you really need to take some off the table. Take 20, 30. Some of you need to take half, depending how old you are. If you're relying on this and you say, oh, yeah, my silver's up $500,000. It's not up $500,000, bro. You got to sell it. Emotionally detach yourself, get your $500,000 and bounce. Lock in those profits. Lock in those profits. Put it in green money. Let the other half stay and let it ride and grow. So now you got a free trade. You got a free trade and you're not getting hurt. Your spouse is not upset because you were disciplined enough to lock in those gains. Because if it goes up another 20, 30%, what's that going to do for you? Not much. Maybe you buy a new car or add an addition to your home, remodel your kitchen. But if you lost half of it, what's that going to do for you? It does a lot more damage. So let's be a student. Let's be a steward for once, and let's protect our principal, because precious metals is not designed to protect your principal. If you want principal protection, guys, there's only one way on God's green earth, and that is green money. Green money is backed by an insurance contract law. You can open up an IRA with an insurance company that is tried and true, American-based, no fees, no risk, and it's backed by the strengths of the insurance company. It has a guarantee, and what's the most beautiful thing is that these indices that they are correlated with, I mean, our 1 year on the S&P intraday index is over 17%. The QQQ growth index is up over 19%. These are real returns. Imagine getting half of that. Imagine getting 100% of that. Depending if you want a bonus or not, the insurance carrier will legitimately give you 100% of this index. If you opt for the bonus, some of them are anywhere 14, 23% with a fee. The more bonus money they give you, the less of that awesome index you're going to get. It's that simple. However, whatever route you decide to do, those interests will get locked in as your new principal, creating a compounding effect where $100,000 at 40 years old is now worth $4.2 million to 20 years from now. Or maybe you're 65 and you have $500,000 and you leave it in, and that $500,000 in 5 to 6 years is worth $1 million. This is what I'm talking about. Then you simply just take 7% out of this account. At $1 million, you're taking $60,000, $70,000 a year. You've taken out, hypothetically, in 5 years, $600,000 and still got $1 million in that account. Almost free and clear. You own it. You are not a participant. You're an account owner. You have access to it. It bypassing probate. And it's chartered, state chartered. It's not federally mandated. It's state chartered. You get dollar for dollar reserves if they're a strong company that what we represent. You have reinsurance companies. Like, call your bank and see how much money is in reserves. Your FDIC insured bank or your NCUA, National Credit Union. It's time to read the details, guys, or hire somebody that knows it. And we're here to help. I'm here to help you in all ways possible, spiritually and financially. Give us a call, 813-448-3446, or you can visit us at cortezwm.com. I'm really, really excited to talk with you, to love on you, to experience life with you financially, to give you some good counsel. I'm only 43 years old. I've been doing this since I was literally 20 years old. So I've been doing this for close to 23 years now. And I have a lot of stories, a lot of experiences. Utilize my knowledge to help you, to keep your money safe, to keep it growing. Learn from my mistakes. Let me coach you through your retirement. I'm pretty good at what I do, by the way. But give us a call. We want to help you. 813-448-3446. Or visit us at cortezwm.com. You can download a free guide at americafirstretirementplan.com. And if you simply just want to secure a portion of your retirement, then go to greenmoneysolutions.com to get insurance on your money. I can't think of any other better, smarter way going into 2026, this last half of the year. Guys, we're going to need principal protection, man. You're going to need an account that guarantees your principal. Lord knows when the stock market goes down, if you did not take care of yourself, it will take care of you. And this time, I don't know how long it's going to be to recuperate. In 2001, it took 6 years. In 2008, it took over 7 years. That's if you never sold and you stayed at the same level of risk. So don't let that be you. Learn from past mistakes. Guarantee a portion of your retirement. More importantly, if you've lost your job due to job losses, we see all these companies going bankrupt. We see all these companies furloughing their employees. If that's you, that's okay. You just need a plan, and that's what we do here. So give us a call, 813-448-3446. You can visit us at cortezwm.com. Pray for me this weekend as I'm traveling with my son. Hope that he does well. And I pray that everything goes well for you. Also, if you are interested in losing weight and getting healthier and sleeping good and having a free and clear mind and building some muscle, then go to getmeleanusa.com. Fresh American products. They use animal and plant-based peptides that deliver right to your door. And you can simply cancel anytime. But there is a discount, 10% discount if you go on auto subscription. Highly recommend a Performance Pro Pack. I love the fit, the lean, the calm, and the focus. I take one before every podcast, and I try to stay. I don't take any notes, so I just try to stay on point. But yeah, go to getmeleanusa.com and purchase you some few peptides. I promise you won't regret it. And if you don't like it, ask for all your money back or cancel. And they will do it. Anyways, God bless you guys. I'm out of here. And don't forget to like and subscribe our Rumble channel, our YouTube channel, Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. God bless, and we'll talk soon.